So hello and welcome to our show, Crooked Doctors. Okay, so Bill and I wanted to leave this message up for a little while so that it would sink in, because we had a very busy day, didn't we?
We had a busy day today, yes.
So we needed to come up with one brief summary statement that would, instead of getting lost in the details,
Yes.
that would sum up where we are right now. Because remember, we have cases internationally, nationally, regionally, on the state level,
Yes.
and on the city level. So on every level, we have cases. And without getting lost in the details, our brief summary statement is, and we have it directly from the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Newark, and the Marshals?
We covered them all today in Newark. Yes, we did.
Yeah. So here's the message. Are you getting it? Dump the whole bloody stinking mess right into Eric Holder's lap.
Right down the drain. Eric Holder's in charge, people.
Just dump the whole bloody stinking mess into Eric Holder's lap.
Now let Lydia explain this a little bit.
Okay. So who's Eric Holder? Eric Holder is the U.S. Attorney. He's the top law enforcement officer in America.
Top dog.
So, you know what, I should, let me,
Sure.
I think the message has come through.
Uh-huh.
We had to say and do everything that, we took care of everything we were supposed. Remember when we were walking home from?
Yeah, I do.
And we had dotted all our I's and crossed all our T's,
Yes.
and we'd taken care of everything we had to take care of.
Yes, we did.
So now we did everything we were supposed to do,
Yes.
and there's only one course of action.
Which is?
Dump everything in Eric Holder's lap.
Absolutely. We're at that stage now, people.
Yeah. So that's where things should go, because remember, we have 36
Yes.
federal judges who refuse to uphold the law. That is a huge human rights issue. And the 36 federal judges who refuse to uphold the law, this is at the Second Circuit Court of Appeals.
Yes.
And there's no excuses. And we discussed this with the U.S. Marshal today.
We did. And
the appropriate course of action is, even though it's hard for people to fathom,
yes,
and it's a huge fraud that they're running in the.
It is a big Ponzi scheme, and it's got to collapse sooner or later.
Well, it just did. And that's. When I went down to Washington to discuss with the Republican senators Sonia Sotomayor's nomination,
right.
I was never interviewed by the FBI.
Nope.
They had a responsibility to speak with me, to vet me in the Sonia Sotomayor hearings. They didn't. Right. And apparently there's another person who had a few words to say about Sonia Sotomayor. They didn't vet him. So apparently the FBI is, keeping...
Are they lax or what? What was the reason they didn't interview him or vet you?
That's an excellent question.
May I have an answer?
Sure. I think what's going on is there's a pattern here of creating false records by deliberate omissions and false statements of material fact.
Okay.
So if you wanted to create a false record, you would deliberately not interview. And so by the sin of omission, you would create a false record.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Yeah. So that's, that's very, very bad. Oh, well, you want to, let me switch the camera view for a minute. So that's where we have to dump the whole bloody stinking mess into
Eric
Holder's lap. Oh, they were unaware when we went to Newark that they
now when you say they, who are they?
We'll get to that later.
All right, okay, but go ahead.
They were unaware that I'd done and said everything I was supposed to say and do at the State Attorney General's office. Yes. They were unaware that I had that we had called Eric Train,
yep.
who's a U.S. He's a prosecutor in Washington, and Eric Train hung up on us, which is not very nice.
Not nice.
And the origin of this hanging up on me starts with one of the students who called me and asked me for help.
Okay.
And what happened was she wanted to cheat her attorney, Constantino Fergali,
I see.
of his contingency fee. So she gave me a phone call and she said, what do I have to do not to pay him?
Okay.
And I hung up on her.
All right.
So that got translated into, she hung up on me, she hung up on me, she hung up on me.
Okay.
So now when I call Eric Train,
Sure.
he hangs up on me.
All right.
So, and there are other examples that I can give.
Okay.
But so we had said and done everything we were supposed to say and do.
Yeah.
And let me just change change this for 1 second. I think everybody's getting this message.
Yep.
Okay. So back to us. Lydia Radin and Bill Dorrity.
Bill Dorrity, how do you do?
Yeah, I have to apologize for my appearance because what did I get, like 4 hours of sleep last night?
Oh, you look great, Lydia. You can't add yourself.
And then we had a busy day at Newark.
Yes, we did.
And they're very mad.
Yes. Oh, they are mad. Yes.
The U.S. Attorney's Office in Newark is very upset with us. They're very, very mad.
Well, there's a reason for that. Isn't that your show part of the reason? We were greeted with that.
We should, yeah, they're very mad with us. But we should say thank you to M&N.
Yes.
We promised to say thank you to M&N. Thank you, Manhattan Neighborhood Network. And we have really good news to report.
Sure.
The government is watching us.
The government is watching, definitely. You know.
The government is watching us, literally.
Which means more viewers. So go ahead.
So thank you, M&N.
Thank you.
We're pleased to report
Yes,
that they are watching. That's not paranoid.
You know, this is not really an entertainment. It is an entertainment network, of course, but it's more than that. It's an issue-oriented network, which is what this show is all about. And I'm sure that M&N gets it. I'm sure our viewers get it.
True. And so we also wanted to say thank you to a few people, and I'm going to talk us through this pretty quickly.
Sure.
Well, actually, you know what? Let me. There's a video that I got to show.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Newark is. Should I say thank you first and then get to that?
Yeah,
okay.
let's say the thanks.
All right. So the first thing we'd like to do is, and remember, we have cases. We don't want to get lost in the details.
No.
So I'm going to start skipping over stuff just to get to the.
You want a broad brush here.
Yeah, and we'll get into the details in a bit. And I want to get to the 5-minute video with Cheryl Fisher.
Sure.
At the Higher Education Services Corporation. Oh, so on the international level, we're reading Reverend Joseph Ben David.
Oh.
Yeah, and he is the people who need to know who Joseph Ben David is do. We're not going to take calls because there's too much.
We have so much to cover. We're sorry, people.
So we're going to take calls next week.
Next week.
Because we got to get through protecting Patricia Waiters, protecting Lydia Radin, protecting Bill Dorrity.
Bill Dorrity, yeah.
Yeah. So
we apologize, callers.
Well, thank you so much for your calls and for your patience and understanding. You know what you can do? You can send us an email.
There you go, email.
At CrookedDoctors@yahoo.com. So it's one word, CrookedDoctors@yahoo.com.
Okay.
And we should take callers, but you know the problem with callers for this week is that we got a lot to get through.
Much to cover.
Yeah, and didn't the FBI admit today?
That was another thing. What did they admit?
They admitted today. Stay with me because I got a lot to do.
Sure, go ahead.
The FBI admitted today that Judge Rodriguez's verbal no contact orders were
let's see.
Ridiculous, bogus, unenforceable.
And and the FBI agent we spoke to said the oral no contact order. He said, "I never heard of such a thing."
Thank you.
As I said, quote unquote. Okay.
Thank you. So that means Judge Rodriguez's other verbal orders are equally as bogus.
There you go.
We'll have to discuss this with
We
him.
will. Okay.
You know, her verbal order that there was a court ordered psychiatric exam on me.
Right. Never saw the paperwork, people.
That forced contact with Stacy Dix Kubiowski.
Right.
so she could falsify medical records,
Exactly.
leading to $15,000 worth of Medicaid fraud, which I'm sure is going to be returned to the taxpayers.
To the taxpayer, yes.
Because part of the settlement agreement would be restitution.
Absolutely.
So that money has to be returned.
Has to be.
And because Medicaid is paid for in part by the state and the federal government, I want all that money returned, plus fines and penalties, I think.
Sure.
So thank you, Mr. FBI. And yes, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Newark is very upset with us, and they're upset because...
And why are they upset?
Because Patricia Waiters and I, and you remember in other shows I showed a photograph of Patricia Waiters.
Yes, you did.
With now President Obama.
You did.
At that time, Patricia Waiters was working for a city councilwoman, and you remember President Obama, then Senator Obama, put his arm around Patricia Waiters.
Oh, that was a classic photo, people.
And took a photograph with her. Well, so when we went down to Constantine Jones at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Newark, we talked with a paralegal named Ms. Jones.
Ms. Jones,
and she asked us if we would wait, 2 weeks until Patricia Waiters could get interviewed.
Sure.
And Patricia Waiters has her time, date, stamp complaints from 2008. And I was talking to Patricia, and she's like, the first time she went down there alone, they wanted to know if she had the time, date, stamp complaints.
Sure.
Because they were going to say that she was never down there. Remember the gentleman we talked to today took my complaint away from me? I asked him for a copy.
He was the security chief,
no, he was somebody else.
Somebody else. But he took your complaint away, and why did he do that?
You saw me fill out the complaint.
I saw you fill out the complaint.
And I asked the receptionist if she would give me a copy.
I remember that.
And time, date, stamp it for me.
Sure. Yes, I was there.
Okay, so I always have my copy to prove that I was there.
Absolutely.
But the gentleman who asked us to leave today, yes, and we're using that word loosely, took my complaint and refused to give it back to me.
And he never made a copy for Lydia.
He took my complaint, and he never made a copy so that they would have plausible deniability to say I wasn't there that day.
That's right.
Because they're very, very angry. In the Patricia Waiters case, what they wanted to do was they were checking with Patricia to see if she had her time, date, stamp complaints.
Okay.
Because she's been going to the U.S. Attorney's Office since 2008.
Wow.
And they're supposed to interview her in 5 days.
Yeah.
Not 5 years.
5 years.
And they tried the same dirty trick on me.
Absolutely.
Today,
yes,
where I asked for a copy of my complaint. I asked for it to be time, date, stamped, and they took it away from me.
Well, that means that you were never there?
They're going to lie.
Okay, we got it. We have to fix it.
And they lied when Constantine Jones, I'm sorry, it's Constance Jones.
Constance.
Ms. Jones, the paralegal, they lied when they said, listen, we're busy, we're at trial. We'll call you, Patricia, in 2 weeks.
We'll get back to you. Right.
Yeah, that was like over a year ago. And then when we went down to Washington, and Washington told a pack of lies and sent Patricia Waiters back to Newark, and said, oh, you got to deal with the local people. They lied and said Patricia Waiters never went to the U.S. Attorney's Office. And so I'm discussing this with people, and I'm like, what do you mean they're saying she was never there? I have videotape.
Oh, then you caught him in a lie?
Oh, my gosh. I think it's very bad when you catch the U.S. Attorney's Office lying.
That's terrible.
Yeah, and actually it's very serious. And what's protecting our lives now is that isn't the mafia really interested in watching?
Oh, I'm telling you.
How, when the U.S. Attorney's Office commits crimes, nobody seems to be prosecuting them.
Oh, yeah.
It certainly seems to be a double standard all over the place.
It sure is.
I couldn't wait. I would testify for the mafia and say that that's very bad at the U.S. Attorney's Office. So let's look at the video I have.
All right, let's look at the video.
I'm going to change the camera view.
All right.
And this is the video that got them all really, really mad at us, and now they don't want to help us at all.
Okay, let's see it.
Okay, so Oh, by the way, I get brownie points for using the equipment.
Oh, I'm telling you.
You know, I got to tell you this just anecdotally. There was this one FBI guy.
Yeah.
He had handled, they were running a case, and he had handled things so well for like 2 or 3 years. He was running the company as a CEO.
Okay.
He did such a good job running the company and catching the bad guys that after the case was over, the company offered him a job.
Okay.
Isn't that flattering?
Okay, well that sounds reasonable. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, they were
what
like,
was the job?
to be the CEO of a company, to run a company. He had run the company so well for several years, and he was like, but I can't leave the FBI because I have all these, you know, and they were like, please come work with us. So that's very good.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so, yeah, all right, so here we go. This is the video that they don't want anybody to see. Give it a moment here to get cooking. So I'm going to stop the video for a minute. Okay, so this is Constantine Jones.
There she is.
At the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Okay.
And what really made everybody angry and put us at risk for our lives is the fact that we had to do this in order to prove that Patricia Waiters has been making appropriate complaints for years.
She was there.
And what they want to do is lie and say she wasn't there.
Say she wasn't there.
And also in this video, and I'm going to work on the on showing it again once I learn a little bit more about sound, because we're under time pressure because we have to testify on Monday. So,
that's right.
But one of the things Miss Jones says, and she's a paralegal at the U.S. Attorney's Office, is she's talking to Patricia Waiters, and she says, oh, you know, it looks like you have civil rights violations here. I'm like, yes, she has civil rights violations, you know? Here's how easy Patricia Waiters' case is.
Okay.
Most recently, what they've said was that all her records were lost in the hurricane. And, you know, I've talked to her union leader about this.
Okay, fine.
Okay, all her records were, I've been talking to her union leader, and the attorneys are trying to help her. They said all her records were lost in the hurricane.
Right.
Who cares? It's irrelevant.
That's right.
She has a ruling by a federal judge, and what the federal judge says is that there is no one big reason to fire Patricia Waiters from her job.
Right.
Okay. Instead, the federal judge says, and this is the federal judge in Jersey, says, well, you know, there are all these little incidences that if you take them collectively together, very good. Thank you for helping. If you take them all together, they give reasons to fire Patricia Waiters. Okay, so I'm like, Patricia, it's very simple. All you have to do is take those little reasons, attack them, and show how they are unfounded, have no merit, and were just these horrible little lies that were told to try to illegally and fire her. So I said, listen, I'll do one example for you. Give me one example. So I'm talking to her coworkers and her friends, and they're like, she was fired for this DVD incident. Now, I don't have to bore you with all the details.
Just get
because I have Sergeant Stone on audio tape. Where he said, and Sergeant Stone was in charge of the facility, the jail that day when Patricia Waiters was working as a corrections officer, and she was fired from her job and persecuted for like the last 7 years. So I have Sergeant Stone on audio tape where he says she's a good officer. The DVD incident had nothing to do with her. And he was willing to come forward and testify. And I said, why didn't you testify when her case was in the federal courts? And his testimony was deliberately left off the record so a false record could be created because Patricia Waiters' attorney stabbed her in the back. He deliberately refused to present Sergeant Stone's testimony. And I was like, well, Patricia, why didn't he show up? And she's like, well, he was working that day. I'm like, that's ridiculous. You get a subpoena, and Sergeant Stone should tell the truth. So Patricia Waiters' case is very simple. I'll just, you know, put up this testimony on the internet, for which they'll try to kill me. You think it's funny, but it's not.
It's quite serious, people.
So, I mean, I'd like to thank the FBI for confirming today that Judge Rodriguez's
Oh, wasn't that a great breakthrough?
That was wonderful.
Oh, that was
Thank
great.
you guys, really, for confirming that a verbal no contact order is a piece of garbage.
Well, no, quote unquote. I never heard of such a thing, unquote. That was a statement, folks.
Yeah, and I was sitting there talking to you saying, have you ever heard of anything so stupid in your life? What do you show the police? Air? So thanks, guys. You know, the only thing Patricia Waiters has to do to make her case is just collect, get a few examples, like 1, 2, 3, 4 examples.
Right.
Come on my show, Patricia, or start talking about
right.
how the DVD incident, forget about it.
That's it.
And then all she has to do is take 1 or 2 more examples, and it'll become blatantly obvious that there was no reason to fire you. Nobody cares about your records.
Well, that's right.
I wouldn't believe them when they said that it was destroyed in the hurricane, because they're all a pack of liars. And the problem with Patricia Waiters, which is the same problem with me, is what can you say after you have persecuted someone for years?
Oh, sure.
And, tried to ruin her family. And, so, I have this video right here of Ms. Jones. And when I play this, I'm going to put this up on the internet.
Yeah.
And for stuff like this, I get death threats.
Absolutely.
And in this video, Ms. Jones confirms that there are civil rights violations.
Yes, there are.
You know why he did that? I went to the field and we took the field and this is recorded and this is on the record. I go to every field and we listen yesterday's date. This was recorded, right? On Thursday,
Okay, the sound isn't coming out as good as I want it, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here. But this is Patricia Waiters and Miss Jones, and I can put in subtitles so we can follow along. But this is why they're really, really, really mad at the U.S. Attorney's Office, because us citizens had to do this to protect ourselves. Okay, we have the right to say and do whatever we have to say and do to protect ourselves. That's Patricia Waiters, and Ms. Jones confirms that yes, it sounds to her at first blush as if there were civil rights violations. Yes, there are. And yes, I have even more videotape of Patricia Waiters trying to go down to Washington and petition her government to help her. So, and for this I get death threats. Okay.
All right.
So, what I'm going to do to make things easier, and I did this for a federal judge, is I had videotape and I put in subtitles to help the federal judge understand.
Sometimes you have to do it because sound isn't 100% either,
Okay, so I'm going to put this up on the internet.
Yeah, with the subscript.
So you understand I'm a marked woman now in
of course.
in Jersey.
But you've been a marked woman for some time, so this is nothing new.
And the reason, so this protects Patricia Waiters. Now we're going to protect you.
Okay.
Bill, for his activities in trying to help tenants,
There's a trial coming up.
Is facing false criminal charges in Manhattan.
And jail time, I mean, we know, but jail time could be an outcome. I mean, not likely, but
0%.
Well, 0%.
Zero.
But we're talking about serious charges.
Okay,
that's the point I'm making.
Okay, so because we're about 25 minutes through the show,
into the show,
and I already sent an email to your attorney where I broke down the litigation points. So I'm going to talk through this fast, okay? Because we've got to protect Bill on Tuesday. Okay. Because Bill is walking into the municipal court in Jersey City with Judge
Rodriguez,
Judge Morena, the same, the same.
The usual suspects, people.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're not going to do to Bill what they did to me. The good news, however, is because I was helping Pauline Roman in the Pauline Roman case, and Pauline is also a witness for you.
Yes, she is.
Pauline Roman's case demonstrates that the municipal prosecutor's office has been helping her landlord commit crimes against her since 2009.
That's right.
I demonstrate that the municipal court, the judges and the public defender's office and the prosecutor's office I mean, the best you can say is that they're overtly biased against tenants.
They are.
In favor of the landlords.
Pro-landlord. Yes.
In my case, they almost murdered me.
Okay.
And in Pauline Roman's case,
she had code violations.
Worse than that.
Okay.
Pauline Roman, according to her, there was a municipal prosecutor named Mark Curtis.
Okay.
That was sent to her basement in 2009
okay.
and knew that there was a broken pipe emptying raw, untreated human feces into her basement since 2009. Okay, this is the court system that you're going to walk into on Tuesday.
You want to mention Gross?
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Over.
So the bottom line is I'm going to go through the litigation points.
Okay, sure.
About 2 years ago, there was a mediation agreement in Jersey City Municipal Court. I'm not going to bore people with a lot of details. I just want to hit the highlights,
Yeah.
okay? There was a mediation agreement that said there was no contact.
No
contact. And by the way, Bill got a written no contact order from Judge Rodriguez.
I have a written no contact order from Judge Rodriguez, and I wanted to know when we went to the government in Newark, how come I got one and Lydia can't get one? I mean, how does that work?
Thank you, Bill.
All right.
So Judge Rodriguez obviously knows how to write written no contact orders because Bill's got one.
Absolutely.
So and I'll be showing it next week when I scan the document.
We'll get to it.
Okay, and show it. So what's happening right now, without boring them with a lot of details, is that Bill has to go down to municipal court on Tuesday, September 18th. December 18th, I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me. On Tuesday, December 18th, and face criminal charges. Yes. They claim that he violated the no contact order.
I violated the mediation. Yeah,
the mediation agreement is a no contact.
It's a no contact order. As a matter of fact.
Let me get through this really fast.
Real quick. Go ahead.
Okay, the mediation agreement shows that there's a no contact order between a woman named Lisa Carney. Who works for management, who works for the landlord, and the Dohertys.
That's right.
Okay, so if they want to make a big issue about recent violations of a no contact order, then I'm a witness, and City Councilwoman Nydia Lopez is a witness for Bill.
She is?
Because
she can be subpoenaed,
yes, she can be subpoenaed. Because on or about November 22nd, 2012, before Thanksgiving, there was an event at the Grandview.
There was.
Bill invited me as his guest.
Yes.
This was on the 16th floor.
It is.
City Councilwoman Nydia Lopez was there.
Yes.
Nydia Lopez. We were there for at least a couple hours.
Oh, sure.
We were talking to people. We were enjoying food.
We had a good time.
City Councilwoman Lopez was talking to us. The tenants were asking us questions about Brian Stack's bill.
Sure.
And we were explaining Brian Stack's new bill and why it was important that they supported it.
That's right.
And they wanted to form their own tenants organization. We said, Mazel Tov, go form your own tenants association. That's fine with us.
That's nice.
So we're having a nice time. As soon as City Councilwoman Lopez left, the next thing we knew, Ann Richardson, who also works for management,
she's a staff employee,
went and got Lisa Carney, and Lisa Carney came screaming into the 16th floor.
Screaming Mimi, that's what we call her.
Violating the no contact order, throwing us out, and creating a huge scene, making a complete fool of herself.
That was terrible.
And we're like, we're not doing anything wrong. So other residents of the Grandview invited us in to their apartments, and we stayed and discussed tenant issues.
We did.
So if the landlord wants to make a big deal about recent violations of the no contact order, the no contact order explicitly states that there should be no contact between Lisa Carney and the Dohertys.
Now, Lisa
wait. So she violated it first.
That's what I said. She violated the no contact order, people.
First. So you can make a cross complaint if you want it.
Yes.
Going forward, and I want to get through this quick.
Sure.
Going forward, on or about November 26th, 2012.
That's what it was.
Travis Gilmore, who happens to be your wife's son, showed up at the Grandview, and that's a violation of the no contact order. And management knew about it.
The phone bill.
And as soon as he showed up, Bill
called the cops.
Called the police, and we gave his attorney the phone records that show that Bill did that. So it can't possibly be a violation of the mediation agreement or the no contact order, because as soon as Travis Gallimore showed up on or about November 26, 2012,
I called the cops.
Bill called the Jersey City police and said he's not supposed to be here. And what did they do?
The cops did nothing.
Okay, so that's
that's pretty much spells it out.
Yeah. And then management knew about it, and without getting into all the stupid little details, about a week later, once again, Dawn, your wife, called the police.
She called the police and had her son removed.
Okay. So I can't see what they're going to convict you of other than they're going to misconstrue the facts, put you in front of a corrupt judge, try to say you're crazy, because they're already developing that argument. Call Jersey City Medical Center, have them come down and say that there's a verbal ordered a psychiatric report, and then Stacy Dix-Kubiowski can lie about you like she lied about me, and we're not having that. Okay? So I'm a witness to show how when the landlord can't achieve his evil ends by using the civil courts, then he will press false criminal charges, as is happening here. And when all that fails, then he'll use Jersey City Medical Center as a weapon, a means of aggression to beat up on you. And that ain't happening.
It ain't happening this time.
Okay. So Stacy Dix-Kubiowski is a dishonest employee, and she falsified medical records and committed Medicaid fraud.
Oh, yeah.
And now she doesn't want to own up to her crime.
Cat's out of the bag.
So now I am illegally barred from the municipal court.
Jersey City Municipal Court.
Because Judge Rodriguez was the referral source, and Judge Rodriguez didn't like the fact...
I just had to say one thing. There's no paperwork on it. I mean, it's all verbal.
Yeah, Judge Rodriguez...
How does that work?
Well, apparently Judge Rodriguez thinks that she's an empress, and she issues these verbal orders.
Oh, terrible.
But the bottom line is Judge Rodriguez doesn't like me because I asked her twice in July of 2008 to give me written no contact orders. She refused.
You can't get it?
That's illegal. And I also asked, I was told that when my landlords violated the no contact orders, I should come down to the municipal court and ask Judge Rodriguez to enforce those orders. She refused. And she didn't like it subsequently in September of 2008 when I publicized these facts, because she doesn't want anybody to know how overtly biased she is in favor of the landlord and against tenants. And apparently she has a history of this, which Pauline Roman will speak to. And after I publicized the facts and asked her to recuse herself from my case, she didn't want people to know, so she decided to try to have me characterized as a lunatic and called Jersey City Medical Center. There was no reason for a court-ordered psychiatric exam because I wasn't doing anything wrong.
You don't have that court order, do you?
No, it's verbal.
How do
you know, we're going to have to go check with the FBI again, because according to them, these verbal no contact orders are bogus.
Well, the one agent said he never heard of verbal no contact orders. And I have a written one, so how does that work?
And I guess her verbal court-ordered psychiatric exam must be equally bogus.
Of course.
You know, so this is the dangerous situation that Mr. Dorrity is walking into on Tuesday, September 18th, 2012. He has an attorney, Vince Sensetti, is going to come with you.
Yeah.
And
he can't be bought.
Hopefully, and what I'm concerned about is that they'll put a lot of pressure on Mr.
Of course he's going to get pressure, but I think he's strong enough. Go ahead.
So what we're going to ask for is an adjournment and a change of venue outside of Hudson County to protect you from this court.
Well, we have to appear because we have nothing from the court, no postcard from the court, you see. So as long as you don't get a postcard, you know, you can't depend on Garfunkel's word. I know his word is good, and you can take that to the bank.
His word is not good. And
I'm joking, folks. But this
word is not good.
This is good. We don't take the Garfunkel's word for it. We have to get a postcard from the court. We haven't gotten that, and time is getting short, people.
So this is the very dangerous situation. You don't know what this court could do.
Oh, sure.
You know, they could lie about, remember, I was physically assaulted,
Okay.
and Judge Rodriguez doesn't want me in her courtroom
Yeah.
because I very politely, or in her courthouse,
Yeah.
which does not belong to her. It belongs to us, the taxpayer.
Yes.
Because
There's a history here. Go ahead.
because I will go, hello, my name is Lydia Reed.
How do you do?
And Judge Rodriguez lied about me. Here's the lies she told, and I respectfully suggest you get a change of venue.
Okay.
Now, if I was mailing threatening letters to Judge Rodriguez,
Yeah.
I'd
Never
like to
saw these, by the way.
I'd like to see. There are no threatening letters to Judge Rodriguez. This was Nino
How did they get away with it?
Falcone mailing me a threatening letter and acting on his threats
How can I get away with that?
because they're career
And
criminals.
the machine is there.
They're career criminals and pathological liars.
Sure, sure.
Okay, that's what. So all these psychiatrists who are busy trying to victimize us.
Yes.
Let's see those psychiatrists call a spade
Yeah.
and diagnose John Scarfone and
Okay.
Jimmy David
Okay.
and Todd Olson.
There seems
and
to be
Stacey.
pathological behavior on the part of the parties just named. Don't you agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So why don't you start putting the blame where it lies on those
Okay.
criminals?
Sure.
Now, I
Okay.
want to turn our attention to. This is Cheryl Fisher.
Oh, let's see
Speaking
Cheryl.
of
Where is
speaking
she?
of pathological liars and career criminals,
Yeah.
I spoke to Cheryl Fisher. Cheryl Fisher is an attorney with the Higher Education Services Corporation.
Wow.
This is the state agency that's helping the U.S. Department of Education
Yeah.
steal money from me today.
Oh.
Now, in 2006, I went up to talk to Cheryl Fisher in June of 2006.
Okay.
And thank you, Alan Raskoff, for giving me an affidavit that confirmed that. And then I called Cheryl Fisher, and she confirmed that we went up to Albany in 2006.
No invisibility here, people. Okay, so
And so why is this important? Because today in my appeal,
Yeah.
and I'm naming names now, today in my appeal with Gerald DiChiera,
Yeah.
I insist that there's a section for ineffective assistance of counsel because when my then attorney, Michael Redenberg, refused to question Detective Cologne, okay, he deliberately left facts off the record to create a false record to railroad me to Rikers, at which the local prison, the jail here, at which I was beaten, and inmates, 97% of the inmate population at Rikers has AIDS or hepatitis C.
Bad situation.
And they use their bodies as weapons by spitting into your eyes.
Bodily fluid.
Yeah. So Detective Cologne lied on the witness stand. My complaints against Yeshiva University came first. They were for federal student loan fraud. And my attorney, even though, I mean, we were about this close, and as Detective Cologne is coming off the witness stand, I'm like, you're not questioning him. You didn't cross-examine him. Please question him now.
Of course, sure.
And Michael J. Redenberg refused to do that. So we have a wall of shame.
Wall of shame.
Our recommendation is do not hire Michael J. Redenberg.
Not at all. He's
And
a bad
if you
guy.
want, and if you want more information, we're going to tell you that.
She got it.
But we have some good guys too, and we're not going to be able to get to the good guys
Right.
this week. But eventually, when we say thank you to Judge Lanson
And,
Michael
Chung.
Chung and Michael A. Valentine, and this will lead us to Chief Judge Littman,
Yeah.
who happens to be a graduate of NYU.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and NYU likes me because I help them when they need
She's
it.
been invited. Have you been invited to speak? Where was that?
Well, we'll get to that later.
Oh, we will.
But
Okay.
Chief Judge Littman understands that NYU has no quarrel with me, and NYU likes me because when NYU needed help, I was there for NYU. And
Okay.
ultimately, when we have to close a medical school in New York,
Sure.
we have to close the Albert Einstein College of Medicine
Oh,
at
that's got to
Yeshiva
go out of
University.
business. Defunded.
Yeah, and this will help NYU because Einstein was trying to steal the donors from NYU.
Of course.
And Columbia won't fight me on this either, neither will Cornell.
Of course.
Okay, so let's look at the 5-minute video of
All right,
Cheryl
take
Fisher.
a look at this. We're running out of time.
So let me change the camera view. And this is my YouTube channel
Yep.
where you can track me.
CrookedDoctors.
Hello, Mr. Howard. Hello, James Howard. Oh, let's say one nice thing about James Howard. he inspired loyalty with, well, we'll have to talk about it next week.
We'll talk about that next
Okay,
week.
so
One
this
at a
is my
time.
Crooked Doctors channel, and
Right.
I told Marshal Jerry Sanseverino today that he should look at my most recent video, because this is
Okay.
Cheryl Fisher,
Uh-huh.
and I'm going to read it as it goes through. The music
Yeah.
is on Brave Old Army Team, by the way.
Okay.
So I'm going to read it, and this is a 5-minute video that shows there's a state agency involved,
Yes.
and this is going to kill Marlene Abramova.
Oh.
There's a state agency involved, the Higher Education Services Corporation, and this confirmed, this is going to have to be an issue in my appeal. So let's
Absolutely.
just go to this. Attorney Cheryl Fisher from the state agency, the Guarantee Agency for Federal Student Loans, the Higher Education Services Corporation, confirmed that there was a meeting in Albany in New York, 2006, with witnesses. Mike Tyberg and I reported federal student loan fraud. Wait, I'm going too fast. Let me go back a little. Okay. Attorney Cheryl Fisher from the state agency, the Guarantee Agency for Federal Student Loans, the Higher Education Services Corporation, they claimed they claimed at criminal trial that the Higher Education Services Corporation didn't exist.
Right.
I mean, you know, all they do is lie. So attorney Cheryl Fisher from the state agency, the Guarantee Agency for Federal Student Loans, the Higher Education Services Corporation, confirmed that there was a meeting in Albany, New York in 2006 with witnesses wherein Mike Tyberg and I reported that our medical school, the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University, engaged in federal student loan fraud.
Yeah.
In short, the school and all the complaining witnesses against me in 2009 had a retaliatory motive.
Of course.
Detective Cologne never did an investigation. There was no probable cause for my arrest. ADA Alex Spiro never did an investigation. And as an appealable issue, I have ineffective assistance of counsel because my then attorney, Michael J. Redenberg, refused to question witnesses against me, which also means I have legal malpractice. Further, this audio tape shows irrefutably that Detective Cologne lied on the witness stand lied on the witness stand in 2010
Yep.
to wit, and this is how he lied, to wit, my complaints came first. They were for federal student loan fraud, not for aggravated harassment.
Okay.
And no one wanted to do anything because for fraud in the administration of federal student loans, the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University loses its ability to administer these loans forever.
Right.
There is no way to regain
Liability.
eligibility.
Yep.
This audio tape also shows that my attorneys, Detective Cologne and the DA, refused to make a single phone call to confirm facts.
Yep.
So this conversation is from Tuesday, December 11th, 2012. And the music is on Brave Old Army Team.
Sure, please.
Sure. Can I tell her who's calling?
Yes. You can tell her it's Lydia Radin.
Lydia Radin. Okay. Hold on one second. Cheryl Fisher, how are you?
I'm not good, Miss Fisher. I'm not good at all, but thank you for taking my call. Now, here's my question to you today. I filled out a form in 2006 requesting a face-to-face hearing regarding my federal student loans. Whatever happened to the hearing I was supposed to get?
I don't do the hearings, so I can certainly look into it. But my understanding is your loans are with the Department of Education, so we no longer hold your loans. Are you just looking for factual information?
Your agency was supposed to, in fact, I'm going through the documents that that you mailed me and the index list, and at your request, I filled out a form in 2006 where I requested a face-to-face hearing. And here's what
you guys did come in. I remember you came in with a couple of representatives. Myself and Ms. Joyce Megan met with you, so you did come in here.
That wasn't a...
So if you were requesting a meeting, we did meet with you and some of your... I don't know. I don't think they were representing you, but other folks came with you.
Right. Mike Tyberg came with me because he had the same problem in federal student loans. And after that meeting, which happened in June of 2006, that's when you asked me to fill out a form for a hearing.
And did you submit it?
Yes, I did. In fact, I have the documents that you sent to me and the indexed, and I have the form that I submitted in 2006. Here's what I think happened. I think you all had a meeting down at Einstein, and me and Mike Tyberg were...
I never went to Einstein. Look, Ms. Radin, send me the form via fax, and I'll look into it and get back to you. But currently your loan is with the Department of Education, and those are the folks you need to deal with about your loan and your balance.
Well, right now, what I'm asking is, I have this letter that John Scarfone mailed to you, claiming, first he claims I failed 3 courses in my first year, and then he changes his story, and the school changed their story to say, oh, she failed all her classes as a first-year student except for Todd Olson's anatomy class. Because what they were trying to respond to was, listen, if you got loans for 2 years, I don't see 2 years worth of classes on my transcript. And Mike Tyberg asked that same question, in effect.
Again, I don't have any ability for what you're telling me to make any changes to anything or to review anything because the loan is with the department. If you were just factually asking me what happened with this hearing, I can certainly get information if that's relevant to you for going having discussions with the department. But that's where the conversation basically ends. So if you want to send it to me, my fax number is 518-474-5593.
Okay, I'm going to fax this request from 2006, and if you tell me what happened to my request for a hearing, I'd appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And also put in your contact information, obviously, so I can reach you.
Okay.
Take care now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Now you're telling me that Detective Cologne, my attorneys, Jess Berkowitz, Terry Brostoin, and Michael J. Redenberg, and Assistant District Attorney Alex Spiro, and Assistant District Attorney Michelle Bayer, who's a trial supervisor, all these people couldn't make a 4-minute phone call to Cheryl Fisher to confirm that my complaints against Yeshiva University came first. There was no investigation. There was no probable cause. And what happened at the state agency, by the way, the psychiatrists who are stalking me, why don't they offer their diagnosis about John Scarfone? Changing his story. Why don't they ask for the letters that Jimmy David and the other communication that Jimmy David and John Scarfone sent to a state agency in 2006 to show that in 2009, when the school made complaints against me, they were a pack of liars. Okay, so this is 42 USC 1983, denial of equal protection of the law.
That's right.
So that's a violation of my civil liberties, which means that the Department of Justice should get involved. Yeah,
that's right.
That would be Eric Holder. My civil rights are being violated.
Oh, wow.
The federal government, the U.S. Department of Education, is having money taken from my Social Security disability payments, and I've never gotten a hearing. Isn't that amazing? I asked for a hearing. I never got a hearing.
Never got one.
So what that means is that they're taking my money without due process of law. Oh my goodness, that's a constitutional issue.
I think so.
Well, you would think the FBI would know about that, wouldn't you?
They do know about it. I guess they're selective about who they prosecute.
Selective enforcement of the law.
Oh.
Isn't that denial of equal protection of the law?
I believe it is.
You think the U.S. Attorney's Office in Newark would know about denial of equal protection of the
I'm sure
law?
Eric Holder should know. He'll be
Do you think
pleased to
Judge
know.
Patterson in the federal court
Yes, should
would
be.
know about denial of equal protection of the law?
law,
You
yes.
want to hear how stupid this gets? Judge McLaughlin, who's corrupt,
Yeah.
this is the guy who railroaded me in criminal court, claimed, and I should make a note so we can show this this document
Absolutely.
from my criminal trial transcript. He claimed that there was a difference between the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure
Yeah.
for pro se litigants.
Yeah, I heard that argument. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, that's garbage. So let's all go ask Judge Patterson if there are two rule books.
Yeah.
One for the represented
Right.
and one for the pro se litigants. There are no two separate.
Right. The law is the law.
Right. There's one rule book. It's the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure,
Applies to everybody.
and it's construed more liberally
Yes.
for pro se litigants.
Absolutely.
You're allowed more latitude than it is for representative. It's. Oh, let me quote Judge Gleason here.
Sure.
The Honorable Gleason.
Sure.
You know, Judge Patterson doesn't like me because I refer to him as the
Oh, that's too bad.
as the not so honorable.
We feel.
The not so, I love when they introduce him and they say, the Honorable Judge Patterson, and I always snicker under my breath and say, he's not so honorable. But there is an honorable judge, or at least so far, Judge Gleason, who, and I'm going to quote from him, who says that, you know, the law is not about the niceties of procedure.
That's right.
There's supposed to be a struggle for the truth here.
Sure.
And that's very French.
Absolutely.
That's the French system, legal system.
Which we adopted, yeah.
Well, we adopted it and then we changed it into a war where in the American system it's win at all costs, you know, do and say whatever you have to do and say so you can dance on the graves of your adversary. And there's no struggle for the truth here as
it becomes,
as I clearly demonstrate, because you've got Judge Patterson, 3 appeals judges, and the entire Second Circuit Court of Appeals, 36 federal judges upholding fabricated rulings. And as recently as just a few weeks ago, I've got the United States Department of Education thumbing its nose at me, figuratively, not literally.
Not literally.
Thumbing its nose at me saying, oh, well, your dispute wasn't upheld. Nah, 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 nah. No. Okay?
Pretty bad.
This is extremely important because the Second Circuit Court of Appeals is the place where more judges who sit on the Supreme Court
on the bench
come from the Second Circuit Court of Appeals than any other circuit. So when you've got the entire Second Circuit Court of Appeals, you know, upholding these fabricated rulings, that's
scary.
Unconscionable.
It's very scary.
Yeah, and James Howard, U.S. Marshal James Howard in the Second Circuit, where at 500 Pearl Street, knew about this in 2009. And as we discussed with U.S. Marshal Jerry Sanseverino.
Oh, today?
Who was blushing because and red because he was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have a few minutes left, so I have to say something nice. Apparently, Marshal Sanseverino worked in the Southern District for 7 years.
Yes, that was he told us. Yeah.
So I guess that's how the corruption works. Is like you make sure your friends are promoted to nearby places. And I mean, it's nice that Sanseverino feels loyalty to Howard. That's a good quality. But when it's used...
He raised some issues, though. Even though he has loyalty to Howard, didn't he corroborate some of our stuff? We won't get into that right now.
Yeah, but the first time I talked to Marshal Sanseverino, he's like, what can we do to keep this between us? Nothing.
On the QT, people.
36 federal judges are upholding fabricated rulings, and we need Eric Holder to weigh in.
Oh, sure.
So I guess what we'll do, because
we
want to make sure this message gets through loud and
National
clear.
level now.
Okay. We need to dump the whole bloody stinking mess into Eric Holder's lap. Okay, so when you've got 36 federal judges, and they made up the stupid
argument?
yeah, they said, oh, when I did my en banc procedure, and I asked, after these 4 federal judges had upheld these fabricated rulings that are very dangerous, that were used to hurt me, that will be cited to in the future to hurt even more students. So you have thousands of students, of medical students in the state of New York, who are being, being denied their civil rights. And when you have 36 federal judges who refuse to uphold the law, then we need Eric Holder to weigh in and prosecute these people for.
And that's where we're at right now, people.
And so the next step would be, well, Miss Radin, how do you plan on dumping all of this? And I have a way of dumping all of this.
She has a few ways,
into Eric Holder's lab.
And it's going to be done.
But at the point where I'm talking to the U.S. Marshals and the FBI, and at the point where I got the U.S. Attorney's Office in Newark that's so angry because we caught them lying
Put them with their pants down. Go ahead. Well, figuratively, not literally.
Figuratively. And they're going to make a big deal out of that. But, at this point, Mr. Holder should weigh in because it's unconscionable.
Absolutely.
So what can the Democratic Party possibly have to say about all the elected officials? And there's a whole long list of them that I went through. What can you possibly, what can they possibly say? So this is definitely going to Eric Holder's office. And I got to talk to Patricia Waiter some more.
Okay.
But the bottom line is this needs to be dumped in Eric Holder's lap. And can you do it? Yes, I can.
Yes, you can. Believe me, Lydia can.
Okay, and nobody's hurting Bill on Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
So if your attorney, Vinci Insetti, needs backup, because he is going to get a lot of pressure.
Of course he is. And
that's not fair to him or Bill. You've done nothing wrong. And we've got a great big bad landlord. If we have to, a great big bad landlord in Jersey City.
We do.
Who's trying to give you a hard time.
Oh yeah.
We will be in Newark. We will be in. Matt Shapiro does appreciate.
We'll be Trenton.
Matt Shapiro, who's a professional lobbyist and who we're supporting and helping. I understand.
Tenants lobbyist, NJTO.
Yeah, I understand that he's testifying in
Trenton
on Monday, and in order to help Matt Shapiro, we have videotape that was released as recently as September of this year.
Tell her what it shows.
The videotape helps support Matt Shapiro's testimony in Trenton.
For security guards,
well, for one bill.
What does it show?
We'll
get into that?
Yeah, we're going to play
but
it.
we're definitely ready for Monday,
and on Tuesday, you're not going to suffer retaliation.
In my trial, my criminal trial.
Well, it's a first appearance.
Yeah, we know.
And they're not banning me illegally from the municipal court in Jersey City.
I don't think so. You can't ban a witness in a criminal trial.
They can't ban me at all.
And certainly, Vince said he won't let them do that anyway.
And they're not going to ban me at all for trying to take care of my business in the municipal court.
Well, that's another issue. Sure. That'll move right along.
So next week we'll take your calls, and thank you so much for your kind attention. We're probably going to go out in the next few minutes, and next week we got to show some of the documents that support this.
Next week is good. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, viewers.
All righty.